so glad. Damn it. Okay. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we got that out of the way before the damn spoilers started flooding the internet.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm glad to get there before Wikipedia started to unload.
Or before my algorithm starts getting attacked by everybody doing like the 47-minute bitching videos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bitch about woke Star Wars. This was the absolute worst Star Wars that has ever touched screens. Kathleen Kennedy is a spawn of Satan, yada, yada, yada.
I hope not. I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Like, I had a lot of fun. Admittedly, I kept my hopes down. That's just the best thing to do these days if you're a fanboy. Keep an open mind, keep your hopes down. I was very pleasantly surprised. There was a lot going on that I feel like it wouldn't really have worked as a 1-hour Disney Plus episode, or as like, even a miniseries of 2 or 3 45-minute Disney Plus episodes.
No, I didn't see it that way. I saw that they made this a movie. Like,
yeah, they were filming this one for the big screen.
Yeah, this is not, in my opinion, and that's the major criticism that I've been hearing about this movie, is that it's just 2 or 3 Disney Plus episodes sewn together. And I mean, yeah, there's 3 acts, but that's what a movie's supposed to have.
Yeah.
Okay, beginning, middle, and ending act.
Yeah. I did not see this one as an extended Disney Plus episode.
No.
What they made is they made a movie with characters from a TV show, and it's not the first time that anybody has ever done that.
No.
Matter of fact, back in the 80s and 90s, it used to be a big old deal. So-and-so action character from TV, the movie, or so-and-so the motion picture.
The Flintstones, the movie. They took the characters of the Flintstones and they turned it into a movie.
Yeah, exactly. And that was not an hour and 42-minute Flintstones cartoon episode. No, it was a movie. They just took these characters from TV. So that's what they did with this one. I really like that scene early on in the movie where they're first getting to the Rebel base and you see the X-Wings against the sunset.
Yeah.
That was really
cool. The callback
cool.
to like movies like Top Gun and
yeah,
that was cool.
That was awesome. Interesting about the mission that Mando gets sent on. It was really cool that we got to see a bunch of the Hutts. This is probably the most of the Hutts that I've seen since like some of the Marvel Comics stuff I've seen lately. Yeah, you do see a pretty good amount of them in the Clone Wars. You definitely see, as a matter of fact, Rada in this movie, it's funny thinking about, he is that little shit from the Clone Wars movie.
Yeah, the first Clone Wars movie.
And I remember seeing the Clone Wars movie in theaters in 2008. Now that one was a giant TV pilot that was on the big screen.
Yes.
And I distinctly remember at that time I was on state active duty in Sacramento. 10-year-old Zach was super pleased that, hey, I made my peace with Star Wars being over after Episode 3. That's the 6 movies. There's not going to be any more Star Wars movies. Oh, guess what? We're going to give you one more.
Right,
it's different from what you're used to, but at least you're getting some Star Wars on the big screen. All right, cool. But I also remember keeping an open mind through the movie, keeping an open mind, enjoying the movie, having cool battle scenes. Yes, Jabba Jr., as a baby, he was annoying, crying a lot. But it was cool having a Star Wars movie. And then we get to the end of the Clone Wars movie, and you just see Ahsoka and Yoda and all of them just standing there in front of the LAAT gunship. And I just said, did this just happen? Did the thing that I think just happened actually just happened? Did I just sit through a goddamn TV pilot?
Pretty much.
Yep. So I will give a lot of credit to Lucasfilm that this was a movie. It actually was a movie, and I'm very pleased about that.
And I like that they blended some real-world elements into the movie. Like, during the Iraq War, they had their trading card deck, or their playing card deck of the most wanted. Of the most wanted.
In the regime, that's right.
And they have the same for the ex-Imperials, or the Imperial Warlords.
Yeah.
And so, that lends to the action of the Mandalorian going after bounties and assignments from the New Republic.
And I like that somebody called the Empire, because this is post Return of the Jedi Star Wars, somebody called it the Imperial Remnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a number of Star Wars titles coming out from Marvel Comics lately that also call it the Imperial Remnant, which I think is hilarious because that's another thing from Legends that they pulled back into canon, another detail. But I do like that we have more than one Imperial warlord in this movie because it gives you the feeling that, yes, the Galactic Civil War is still going on, but also it's not just the Empire and the New Republic. You have all these other assholes. So that was really cool that we get a lot of the Hutts.
That there's an evolving political situation.
Yes, an evolving political situation.
Past Return of the Jedi.
And I like that the evolving political situation and the decentralizing military situation gives us opportunities to bridge together details from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and post-Return of the Jedi Star Wars. So, like, the Hutts have their private battle droid army, and you can tell that they went and scoured, all the surplus stores in that corner of the galaxy to get all the surplus battle droids.
They're all basically what we would call dime store battle droids. And you can tell, like, there's a droid smith back there slapping pieces together and welding torsos and chassis and arms and legs and stuff like that.
And some of them have cool little outfits. Yeah. That part was cool. So I do appreciate, I wish that they had actually made a flashback or alluded to it in the movie. But I did appreciate personally, how important that is for Mando's character, that he's just annihilating a shitload of battle droids. Yeah. We're assuming that everybody's seen season 2 of the Was his flashback in season 1 or season 2?
I want to say it was the end of season 1.
The end of season 1, it sounds like it makes sense, and it doesn't really matter anyway because you guys have had 4 or 5 years now to see it. Because season 2 came out, and then Book of Boba Fett, and then season 3, and then Mandalorian and Grogu just now. That is wild. And it's really nice also that a Star Wars movie came out in theaters in the year that I consider to be the real 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Now, next year is when Lucasfilm and Disney is going to go full, bat out of hell ape shit with the Star Wars 50th anniversary celebrations, because that's going to be the 50th anniversary of A New Hope coming out in theaters. However, if I'm not mistaken, I believe December of 76 is when the Star Wars novel, Ghost, written by Alan Dean Foster, actually hit bookshelves in stores. So really, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, yes, everybody learned their name in the summer of 77, but these folks actually greeted the public in 1976. So I think it's really cool that I got to see a Star Wars movie on the big screen during the real 50th anniversary. And I also just reread Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster, which was going to be the original Star Wars 2.
The original Star Wars sequel.
Yeah, it was going to, Splinter of the Mind's Eye was going to be Star Wars 2.
Yeah, that was a part of their releasing that book, that adaptation was the part of their strategy to get people hyped up for the movie. So they released that in December, and they got everyone, their goal was to reach science fiction fans.
Yes.
So that's why they drummed up some publicity by releasing the adaptation.
But I think it's also, I don't know if he was really well known back then. It was 76. I know he's written a ton of other sci-fi books before Star Wars. He had written a good stack of sci-fi books before Star Wars. I don't know how famous he was before that, but the fact that he was involved is really awesome, and he's always going to have a special place in my heart. I wanted to give you folks a sneak peek of a couple of really awesome details from the Mandalorian manga. We're at the scene on Tatooine where Mando has to fight the big old rhino. It is crazy how intricately detailed these drawings are. Chapter 7, let me draw your attention to the amazing detail on these stormtroopers. You know I love seeing stormtroopers in comics. You can see their armor is cracked, it's worn, paint is stripped off a little bit, The detail is incredible. And, even better, it's Werner Herzog as a manga character. I can already hear his voice and his accent in my head. It is so cool seeing him as a manga character. When you pay attention to his eyes, he is still drawn like an anime or a manga character, but he does look like an anime version of Werner Herzog. That's hilarious. There's Carl Weathers drawn as a manga character. How do you like them apples? It's Apollo Creed himself. And then look at this full-page splash of Mando making a dramatic entry in the bar. Again, the detail on this is crazy. The shading, the wear and tear on his armor, the shine on his armor. This is incredible. And Mando is not just an incredible character because he's so damn cool and he does a lot of cool stuff and he looks awesome, but he's significant because he is the first Mandalorian whose last name is not Fett that audiences truly care about. What else is going on in The Mandalorian and Grogu that we should talk about? I'm kind of surprised that there was no references to Moff Gideon or the Dark Troopers or other things that happened in the TV show. But that also tells me they're trying not to be too dependent on the TV show. So we'll see, Sigourney Weaver, her character gets lines.
Yeah.
We see Blue, that character that we've seen on TV.
Zeb.
Yeah, Zeb, that guy. You know what? I'm just going to say it. Dave Filoni's hat should get its own entry as a character on Wikipedia. So whatever the name of the character is that Dave Filoni played, that is one entry.
Trapper Wolf.
Trapper Wolf, yes. And then Trapper Wolf's hat. No, not even Trapper Wolf's hat. Dave Filoni's
hat on Trapper Wolf.
Yes, on Trapper Wolf. That should be its own character entry on Wikipedia.
So some of the criticisms that Star Wars movies and Star Wars media gets is that, they're fan servicey and they drop a lot of cameos. I'm not sure about your opinion on there not being a cameo in this movie.
I am okay with...
I'm okay with that not happening.
I'm okay with that not happening. I really like cameos and I really like fan service stuff, but the thing is, going back to the anti-woke arguments, it's not that we're against, LGBT Star Wars, but hey, look, there's this detail that you should care about. Here's 10 seconds and now it's gone forever. But also, buy the action figure of this one detail that you're supposed to care about. Same thing with the cameos and fan service. I'm all for it if it's doing something for the story.
Yeah.
So
if it builds the story and connects it to the broader universe, I'm okay with that. I'm also okay with it not happening.
So Luke Skywalker popping up in the Mandalorian TV show, that was an awesome moment. But it was very appropriate fan service because it was actually doing something to advance not only the plot of that episode, but the plot arc of the season.
Yeah.
So it was actually doing something for the story.
Yeah.
But I also really like that we did not get a main character cameo because, like Andor, one of the things that makes The Mandalorian special is that this is Star Wars that's a little bit closer to us. So when we were kids, all of us were going to be Jedi someday. Because, if that bonehead like Luke could be a Jedi, then we can all be Jedi. Then 1999 comes along, midi-chlorians and Jedi
all
eugenics comes along.
Yeah.
So because of Jedi Jim Crow, we can no longer be Jedi. But Andor comes along. You could be one of the people in Andor, or you could be a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
If Grogu is adopted into his tribe, or you could even be one of the people on the team. So with these other Star Wars productions, we are reminded that, hey, the galaxy is a really big place. There's also some Kyle Katarn type throwbacks, to the 90s Star Wars Dark Forces. This is another epic story where it's just a regular guy who doesn't have force powers who's making all these. Although, Mando does lean a little bit on force stuff through Grogu, but everybody else on his team, they're just having to figure it out.
Well, see, here's my problem with Star Wars and the Force, and it's not really a problem, but it's more maybe a put a pin in it kind of thing,
Are you just mad that you are not part of the midichlorian master race? And
No.
You're not able to be a Jedi?
No, because you can still fantasize about being a Jedi. You can still have a fantasy with a wrapping paper dowel in your hand and you know, same thing with being a Mandalorian. You could run around with a little fake gun going pew 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 pew. You know, you can still fantasize about being whatever character you want.
I would say with the availability of knockoff toys at the dollar stores, there is no excuse for still using cardboard for your lightsabers in the year 2026. We do not have 1995 problems. Just go to the goddamn Dollar Tree, all right? $1.25, you can get a little fake lightsaber. Yeah. You don't have to do the cardboard thing.
You don't have to pass
the Dark Times. Oh my gosh, I still remember the Dark Times when there were only 3 Star Wars movies, and even the prequels were still a distant promise. So I just feel like warm and fuzzy right now. I saw Star Wars on the big screen.
I'm so
sick. And in 3D.
I'm so sick of the belly aching from all sides.
Yeah,
there's just a ton of belly aching, and it's the part where being a Star Wars fan, the worst part of being a Star Wars fan is unfortunately other Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that is a mixed blessing and a curse. On one hand, it's really awesome that the Star Wars community has so ballooned, specifically in the last decade. Yeah, people can bitch about the sequels all they want. They can bitch about whatever else in not 1 through 6 Star Wars that they didn't like. And there's a lot of not 1 through 6 Star Wars that I really like. Rogue One is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Han Solo was fun. Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2 were a masterpiece. And there's a number of other Star Wars productions that have still been a lot of fun. I have seen moments where like stuff that was being pushed from the left was really heavy-handed. So like some of the, we all know that infamous kissing scene from the sequel trilogy with Carrie Fisher's daughter that pissed everybody off. Okay, nobody cares about those characters. So in that particular moment, yes, it felt like Disney was trying to force an agenda. In Andor, when it was characters that we actually knew about and cared about and were emotionally invested in, magically, Nobody mad cared that you have 2 girls kissing. It's not woke anymore because, I know who these people are. I care about them and their future. Yeah, it's not performative.
It's actually just a part of the character work that the creator.
So I will admit, like sometimes stuff has been pushed from the left and it has been ridiculous. Also, some of the stuff that we're hearing from the right, this is the worst Star Wars ever. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And like the last thing that those guys are saying is like either white power or, you know what, like I get the feeling a lot of these like angry Star Wars fans are like just pissed off divorced dads.
That's what they sound like. A lot of them, that's what they sound like. If you walk down YouTube and you check out some of these guys, I'm not going to mention names.
Yeah, we're not gonna go throw shade on individuals.
But some of them, it's like literally sounds and feels like they are projecting being rejected by Betty Sue, for not having the best job, and so he's got to project on something and attack something. And really, he's just attacking all the weaknesses of Star Wars because he's been kicked out of the house.
I distinctly remember I saw one of my buddies from the NRA days, will not name names, but he was complaining about woke Star Wars with the girls kissing. I said, I know you're complaining about the sequel trilogy because what did nobody complain about those hotties in Andor making out? But he was like, blah, 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 woke. So I did a little prying. Turns out, not that long before this conversation, his girlfriend had dumped him for a girl. Mm-hmm. Now, this guy is in his 20s, so not a divorced dad, but very much like in a, he is like the Kakuna to the Butterfree of angry divorced dads. So again, like it goes back to my original point. A lot of the people complaining, like definitely have divorced dad energy. Look, I get it. Sometimes Star Wars has not been that hot, I will admit, and it's going to be that way. Not every production is going to be spectacular, and also not every production is going to be made for us. This one was. It's day 2 of Mando's Memorial Day Marathon, and let's take another sneak peek at the Mandalorian manga. Most of it is in black and white, but right here we have a breathtaking color page. The color work and the inking on this is exquisite. Mando has broken into the Imperial facility to rescue Grogu, and here's an awesome illustration of him launching his mini crazy rockets to take out a bunch of stormtroopers. I love stormtroopers in comic books. The line art on this is insane. The amount of detail is incredible. This illustration is fan-freaking-tastic. My all-time favorite illustration, my favorite image in the entire book, is this outstanding, exquisite 2-page splash of all the Mandalorians from the Guild coming to Mando's rescue. Oh, that looks incredible. Look at the variations in the armor. Look at the different weapons. Look at the detail in the armor. The wear and tear. The jet streams from their jetpack. This is next level. There's another really awesome 2-page splash of Mando holding out his gun, his pistol. This is so Clint Eastwood. It's not funny. And I love the Wrong Way page. A lot of manga books printed in English have these because these are read from right to left, not left to right. But the most important detail is this awesome illustration of Carl Weathers in the cantina. I love it. Oh, this is so great. Mandalorian Screen Comics was kind of lame. The Mandalorian, the manga, awesome stuff. Yusuke Osawa knocked it out of the ballpark. Hey everybody, it's Darth Zach.
And Space Wizard 81.
And we just saw The Mandalorian and Grogu. Be sure to check out the Rangers of the Old Republic episode that we just uploaded. And then come back on Monday where we will do our actual Mandalorian and Grogu review episode.
Yeah. May the Force be with you.
Mandalorian and Grogu was made for us. It was made for general audiences. The sound effect of you refreshing your drink reminds me of that line from the Star Wars gangster rap. This is a mighty fine gin and tonic, R2. Would you mix me up another? Anyway, the Mandalorian and Grogu was made for general audiences, so I was very pleased about that. But stuff like, Young Jedi Adventures, that is very obviously not made for me.
No, that's made for kids.
And then like the YA novels about like Princess Leia being a teenager, running around with Holdo, who's also a teenager. I love how they're like retcon connecting them too. But that type of content was not written for me. That was very specifically written for 10-year-old girls. And frankly, I am happy that there is content that is being written for 10-year-old girls because in 11 years, they're going to be 21-year-old girls and they're going to be watching regular Star Wars and then they're going to be reading Timothy Zahn and they're going to care about the same stuff that I do.
What's upsetting to me is that 30 years ago, Star Wars was meant for general audiences.
Yes.
It was meant for everybody.
Yes.
Everybody on Earth knew who Darth Vader was.
Yes.
Okay? There was no escaping that. You could walk into any 99-cent store or Dollar Tree and find merchandise for anybody.
Yes.
Okay? What pisses me off about the leadership of Lucasfilm is that they assumed that didn't exist. And they said that didn't exist. And it's like, how do you take the pop culture hit parade that was Star Wars and you turn it into what we have received lately? I mean, it's ridiculous. Assuming that Princess Leia, they said that, there were no characters that appealed to women. You had Princess Leia. You had Princess Leia.
You had Princess Leia. Okay, so that is true. Star Wars did used to be just made for general audiences, so the niche stuff can be a turnoff to a lot of people. Then again, though, I will also see, I'm going to be devil's advocate. Like, the thing is, because I'm not so emotionally invested, I can genuinely see arguments on both sides. So on one hand, like, I am delighted that Young Jedi Adventures exists because in 15 years, I can have meaningful Star Wars conversations with the then adult kids today who are watching that stuff now.
I have no problem with young adult, with young Jedi Adventures either.
But also, I will also say, to be fair, Young Jedi Adventures is made for niche audiences. Princess Leia running around with teenage Holdo is made specifically for little girls.
Yeah.
You can't use that excuse to justify a production that was made for general audiences and maybe it just didn't land.
Right. I mean, I remember the Kathleen Kennedy interview. I want to say it was with Deadline or one of these other, might have been Hollywood Reporter or Variety or one of these other news magazines. And basically she said, we have no comic books, we have no source material. And it's like, lady, you had dozens.
That was insane when she said
of
that.
Novels.
And by the way, I am not on the let's beat up Kathleen Kennedy bandwagon. Star Wars YouTube is already enough on that topic, like a freaking cheap
I'm
suit
not
on
here
a
to
salesman.
beat her up or to disparage her.
But also, yeah, like that particular statement was absolutely insane because
yeah.
what do you mean there's
what
no
I'm trying to point
there's
out,
50 years worth of source material.
What
I'm
trying
sorry.
to point out is she, I think, bought into. I'm trying to be very careful about what I'm saying here.
Well, maybe the Force is female, therefore every Star Wars story that doesn't specifically have a gay woman does not exist. So Heir to the Empire does not exist.
Right.
I love the South Park episode with Eric Cartman. Put a chicken and make it gay.
What I'm trying to say is
they had him in drag as Kathleen Kennedy.
There was a stripe of Hollywood people who wanted to pillory Star Wars, the franchise, because they said it didn't agree with their messaging. Okay, and I think that Kathleen Kennedy bought into that and went along with it, you know? But she was supposed to be the main custodian of the property, and because she's caught saying these things in interviews, you know, it's like, hey, I don't think you should have been saying something like that. You know, that's my point, is that she was literally the leadership of the franchise, and here she is embarrassing herself in front of fans saying, oh, well, we don't have comic books. It's like, you know that you got rid of Dark Horse, right?
Well, see, the thing is, they got rid of Dark Horse, and then they got rid of Dark Horse.
Right, because I think Dark Horse is still printing some work, aren't they?
No, like, yeah, that's the thing. Dark Horse is printing new stuff, and Dark Horse is printing new expansions of current IP, so I know for sure Tales of the Nightlands, oh, I've read that. That's an awesome horror-themed series, like scary stories. They're doing hyperspace stories, and they're doing another hyperspace stories that's just the Bad Batch.
Okay.
I've read a couple of those. They are really cool. If you have not read any of the new stuff that Marvel or Dark Horse is coming out with, I will say, like, technically, yes, like, you could live without it, but I will admit I have been very pleased with. As a matter of fact, I'm even going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to throw shade on Lucasfilm, but I'm going to say it, dude. I've seen better writing for Star Wars coming out of Marvel.
From Marvel and
than I've seen
Horse.
out of Lucasfilm in the last 5 years. Especially, oh my gosh, that reminds me. This is Corellian smuggler Han Solo. He has just been frozen in carbonite. This is Han Solo's ex, Kira. She is the front woman for the Crimson Dawn cartel. She is selling his carbonite frozen body at auction. And this is Han Solo's girlfriend, Leia Organa, a general in the Rebel Alliance, and she will stop at nothing to get her man back. And this is Jabba the Hutt, leader of the Hutt criminal cartel, and he is pissed at everybody. Why? What happened? Well, you can find out by coming back to this channel on May 4th and watching our War of the Bounty Hunters spoiler special. It is more than 45 minutes and covers all 34 chapters of War of the Bounty Hunters. Also, check back our channel right now. There is a 30-minute video on different comic book adaptations and expansions of Star Wars A New Hope. Hey everybody, it's Darth Zach.
And Space Wizard 81.
And we just saw The Mandalorian and Grogu. Be sure to check out the Rangers of the Old Republic episode that we just uploaded.
May the Force be with you.